Clustering is so natural with the way we as humans function. We are always on the quest for people who are similar to us, and we eventually make those smaller groups who function the way we are and with whom we are so comfortable. There is this popular saying, you tell me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are. Hello, friends, this is Prakash here. In this particular video, we will talk about clustering machine learning algorithms. Let's get started. In machine learning, broadly, there are two types of algorithms. One is supervised machine learning algorithms, and the other one is unsupervised machine learning algorithms. So far, we have looked at supervised machine learning algorithms. So, algorithms like logistic regression or decision tree algorithms that we have seen, or linear regressions, they are all types of classification and regression algorithms, but that involves supervised machine learning. So when I say supervised, basically they are trained with both input and output data, and the algorithm learns based on the provided patterns with both input and output. Once the algorithm learns, we will then feed it new data with only input data, and we will expect it to predict the output variable. So that is called supervised machine learning. Whereas in unsupervised machine learning, it's a different type of algorithms where we will not give any information about the data, but we will just feed it the data. And we expect the algorithm to find out, are there any similarities in this group of data, and can I form different types of clusters with them and project that based on the different properties that these data have with respect to its various dimensions. The algorithms categorizes them and groups them into various clusters. Clustering has a lot of applications in real use cases. In transportation, in ride sharing, there are a lot of hidden patterns in how various riders prefer to ride, that their timings and the distance which they ride and their traffic patterns and things like that. So there's a lot of information that can be driven, including areas within the city and things like that, or different types of vehicles, so on and so forth. So there is a lot of information that could be used by these ride sharing companies to optimize their routes or to optimize their fleet of vehicles and so on and so forth. In healthcare, there's a lot of diagnostic information about patients that will prove to be very useful for diagnostic companies, the pharma companies, and the doctors themselves in understanding how they have diagnosed the person or the patients and how they should be doing, and in fact, the type of drugs that needs to be invented given the patient information, right? Or in the case of financial and banking institutions, the transactions that different people do, whether it is taking the loans or whether it is insurance applications and things like that, we all know that there is a lot of fraudulent information that can be provided by ingenuine people. So again, clustering can be very useful to actually analyze a lot of available data and figure out which is genuine and which is not, and so on and so forth. There are fields like in telecom, the companies can use the call profiling for various user call information to understand the call patterns of various customers and how they should actually plan their network in a better way, right? Cyber profiling is a very popular technique to gather data from various people and identify patterns with respect to criminals versus genuine people. So let's get going with one of the popular machine learning algorithm called k-means clustering algorithm. Please note, this is an unsupervised machine learning algorithm. That means this is not predicting any output value, be it classification or regression. All it is going to do is group the available samples into similar patterns, and we call them as similar groups. And hence the name k-means clustering. It basically groups this into k clusters depending upon similarity with various properties and how the values are distributed for various properties for these samples. For example, let us consider a distribution like this. I've just taken an example with respect to experience and salary. I've tried to plot various samples. And if we say, for a human eye, if we just say, hey, can we group them into 5 similar clusters, right? It's a two-dimensional space. It would be easy for us to actually locate and say, hey, these groups are similar and they are close to each other. In that sense, if we look at it, we can form clusters like this, right? This is one simple example how clustering can group people together. Now, if we say, can we form 3 clusters for it? Well, we can form it, right? Depending upon, again, how closely they are related and looking at the number of clusters, right? And if we just say 2 clusters, there can be 2 clusters, right? So depending upon the requirement on how many clusters we want to form and what is the exact need, the clustering algorithm, especially k-means clustering algorithm, will be very useful to actually group the data sets together, right? So the way this works, how does this work? How does this really identify? Now we have understood, for a human eye, it is really easy to figure out and understand how this can be formed into groups because we have understood the distance, how close they are in a two-dimensional space. But in reality, for machine learning algorithms, any data that we feed to machine learning, it is multi-dimensional in nature, right? So, there are a minimum of dozen or more properties that is associated with each label. So it would be very difficult for common algorithms to actually find out what are similarities in it. So that is when this particular algorithm really excels, if in grouping such kind of multidimensional data. But to understand it clearly, I have again taken the same example, and we will see how this really works in action, right? So the way it works is, let us say we are trying to form 2 groups or 2 clusters out of it, right? So the way this starts is there is something called centroids, right? It starts with 2 randomly chosen centroids, that those 2 stars that you are seeing. So they are nothing but, imagine they are the centers of the 2 clusters, right? It starts with any random point. Then it computes. Now each star is supposed to be one group of one cluster, right? One set of samples which would be part of that particular cluster. So what the algorithm does is it actually computes the distance of each and every point from the respective centroids, right? So each centroid will calculate distance for all the points, all the samples, and then it groups whichever centroid is closer to a particular sample. That sample will be grouped with that particular centroid, right? So that way, after the distances are measured, the samples are grouped into that respective centroid, right? So then what happens once they're grouped, the centroids will move towards the center of that particular cluster, right? So now that they are grouped, they have formed 2 groups, and then now they will further calculate the distance with all the points, and then again they will understand, is there any further distribution of these or further segregation of these required into the respective centroids, right? So that way the algorithm keeps going until it finds the effective grouping for the number of clusters we're looking for. And it looks for minimizing the so-called within cluster sum of squares criterion, which is also called as inertia, right? That's the formula that what I'm showing. Xi is nothing but the sample, and the mu's are representing the centroids, right? The distance between the points and the centroids is squared, and the overall sum is computed. And we want to really look at a solution where this particular sum is minimum, right? So that's what is actually done when it comes to how a clustering algorithm works. And overall it is about minimizing the inertia, and it really works on the basis of how your centroids are initially chosen, right? So at random they will be placed, but the overall solution, how quickly we can arrive to it, it really depends on where the centroids have started, right? So from that sense, the centroids can be started at different random points, and then the algorithm can be computed in different iterations. So we can control that using the algorithm, using the implementation with different parameters. But overall, this is the objective. The objective is to find out, start with random centroids and then move closer and move closer and closer to the points and then form those cohesive clusters of data, right? This is a quick summary of how the algorithm works. So we will now look at the implementation of it.